Welcome back to the Handlebar Podcast. As you know, this is an honest conversation type of podcast where we talk about faith and practically following Jesus. Before we jump in, there are a few quick things that we want you to know about. First, we love it when you ask us questions. So if you have one, submit it on our website at thehandlebarpodcast.com. Next, if you love the podcast, there are a handful of ways that you can share the love and help continue to support what we do. The first way is through sponsorship. This is a good opportunity to get your message out there via our podcast. Go to the contact form on our website and let's connect. Also, we have merch. It's a great way to support what we're doing and spark fun conversations. If you didn't know, Elissa has a solo album, Wearing a Blindfold and Running, and Sarah Beth dropped a worship album, Foolish Offering. These albums are so good. You can stream it anywhere you listen to music. And lastly, Aaron has an incredible book out called Big Jesus. It has wild stories about growing in your faith and walking with Jesus in everyday life. It's so good. Okay, let's jump into today's episode.
Hey, welcome back to the Handlebar Podcast. We are here, 4 of us, ready to have a conversation. And we have a special guest that's here. And he is a special guest for a different reason than our normal special guests. And the reason is because Aaron told me, basically, Marcus, you ask the best questions.
Oh, now I feel pressured.
You do have pressure.
Well, this is Marcus Lim, and he's a friend of all of us.
You may know Marcus as the meme guy. You may know Marcus.
See, I don't even know this.
Here we go.
You may know
This
Marcus
is from the
as
social
Mark.
media.
You may know him as Mark or Marky. On
Marky
social
Mark?
on social media, it's Marky Mark. He has super funny videos
Really?
online, which is crazy because he's not that funny in person. And
That's crazy.
I'm just kidding, bro.
Look, I've never heard the end of this. Do you want to tell them a story about whenever we were in California?
Yeah, so
That's the one I was thinking of.
So we were in LA and right outside of LA, and Marcus was also in LA. So of course we're both there, and we're like, let's get coffee, because anytime he's in Dallas, we can never get coffee. He's always too busy, and so in
Damn,
LA,
oh my goodness.
boom, boom.
Not the
So
shade.
no, I'm kidding. So we were in LA, and we reach out to get coffee. We go have coffee, and our coffee was super rich, which is why I feel like you always ask the best questions, which is it's true.
You did say that to me. You
I
got in
was-
the car. He's like, he asked the best question.
I was then going to Azusa Pacific University. I was going to teach at a lab. You've been, Rafi. We went together this year. Sarah Beth and I went. We were going to shout out APU.
Yes.
Shout out to Taylor. We've actually answered one of Taylor's questions on. She oversees the ministry at APU we went to. So, anyways, we were there and we walk in the door, and it's my last day to share and teach. And as I'm talking to our host and just getting the information logistics, she looks at Marcus and she goes, "Are you Mark?" And I'm originally I'm thinking, oh, you guys know each other, because Marcus does a lot of ministry stuff. He's always traveling, planting prayer rooms, doing all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, you guys know each other, and I'm waiting to see how they know each other. And she goes, yeah, I follow you on Instagram.
I've never heard the end of that.
He's never heard the end of it. He probably will never hear the end of it. And so
it's so cool, though.
He's our
what
social
you do
media
and the way
influencer.
that the Lord uses your life in that way. We love it. Yeah. We're inspired. After we hung out, we started posting more on social media.
It's true.
You inspire us.
Here's what I love about Marcus is, bro, you're coachable, you're humble, you're fiery, you're an amazing leader. You're probably one of the best leaders that I have seen in a long time. You just have people following you. I can never get alone with Marcus because he's always got people with him because people love following you. And I just, I give you a hard time a lot, but I've been very grateful for our relationship. And now I'm excited to have you on the podcast today. So, bro, you have to do this. You got to introduce yourself. We always have guests do this. Introduce yourself. And if you were a cartoon character, who would you be?
Oh,
and
okay,
why?
easy, because I've already listened to a bunch of podcasts from you guys, and so I already know the answer to that one. Okay. But my name is Marcus, and I did USM.
That's
so
right.
That's
where I
what
met
got
you.
Really close
That's
with
where
Aaron.
I first heard your questions.
Oh yeah, because you would lead our
USM.
prayer labs. And if you guys don't know what USM is, it's an amazing ministry school. Shout out, plug. But that's where we met, and then me and Aaron got close. But yeah, right now in this season, I'm just leading a ministry called Prayer House, and have the honor to do so. And we're moving into North Carolina, Wilmington. So if you guys know anyone there, just let me know. But if I could be any character, I would be Mushu from Mulan
Dang.
I love that.
Yes, not because it's an Asian show, but I was nicknamed Mushu in high school. So
That's cute.
Wait, why were you?
Do you know
nicknamed-
why?
Yeah, that's
probably because I'm Asian.
But why are you why do you feel separately connected outside of the fact that it's an Asian character?
You know,
Well, and especially because Mushu was played by
he's-
Eddie Murphy.
He's funny.
Yeah, so at his depths, he's not Asian.
goes to
There's a lot
show
of
that I am
levels.
funny.
That's so many levels.
Yeah, I would say.
That's like dishonor on your family, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You put
yeah,
dishonor
yeah.
on you, dishonor on your family.
I don't know.
He's
I think,
funny.
I think I just got people nickname me that, and I went with it ever since. And I don't know
think
why I
he's a great
resonate, but yeah, he's a great character.
Perfect.
So.
He is
Fiery, a dragon. Come on.
fiery. He's yeah. All right. Well, we got Mushu on the podcast today.
That's great.
So okay, we're gonna let Marcus ask the question.
Yeah.
We're gonna dialogue it. We're gonna talk about it. We'll jump in. We'll go from there. So, come on, Marcus. Let us have it.
Well, the question that I have for us today is, what does it look like to be equally yoked in a ministry or just in a relationship? What does it look like to be equally yoked in relationship with others, with the person you're dating? For me specifically, the question arises is, if you're on trajectory in a mission and then someone along comes the way, or you have a team around you, how do you guys do it together when maybe their life, something happens and their trajectory changes a bit? And so that was a question that I had, and how do you do it well, and what are the
you talking
practicals?
about two people running together after the same call, or in the context of a relationship?
I would say both. I would say even right now, I'm looking around and all my friends are getting married. And all of us had the same mission. And now all of a sudden it just feels hard. And it feels like, what do we do in this team dynamic, in this relationship, when you have people going in the same direction and all of a sudden they're starting to get married. And now there's like a real practical of like, how do you do this together? And are they burning? Are they not burning? Do callings and visions just look different now? Wow. And how do you do it well?
So many questions in the one question.
Yeah, I know.
But you could tell, why I say our time together was rich. It's just, these are kind of sums up the conversations we have when we're together. My first initial thought is in the early days of the podcast, when we first started this, you guys remember we did an episode titled Navigating Seasons. You guys remember that episode? And the episode was all around, it was probably more so me and you, Sarah Beth, but our closest friend group that we had been running together for years. It was all of our seasons were changing. We had gotten married. I think we were now having a kid.
Yeah.
Some of our other friends
We
were
were the
getting
only ones
married.
with kids.
We had a friend moving across the country. It just felt like our tight-knit core friend group that had been following the Lord, burning together. It was like we were struck with a rock and we were scattering, and none of it was bad, none of it was sin, none of it was wrong. It was all the changing of seasons. And so we titled that episode Navigating Seasons, which is a great, just want to plug that episode. But equally unequally yoked. I this is a phrase I would love to know your guys' thoughts, so feel free to stop me if you want. But I remember growing up, for me, this was a phrase I was terrified of. Like, God forbid you end up in a relationship where you're unequally yoked. And
Not God forbid.
and and I used to feel like well, let me read this verse. Here's where you get the phrase. Yeah, I have it. Here's where you get the phrase unequally yoked. It's 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. It says, "Do not be unequally yoked with," anybody know what that next word is? Unbelievers.
Yes.
For what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness, or what fellowship has light with darkness? So that's it. That's where you're going to get your phrase. Do not be unequally yoked. And it's going to give you the context of who it's referring to as who is where you're unequally yoked. It's with unbelievers.
That's important.
That's important.
Yeah, to know that it's
That's
talking
important.
about unbelievers.
I'm not a big fan, and we can classify this as Aaron's opinion, but I'm not a big fan of missionary dating. I'm not a big fan of like, oh, homegirl don't know the Lord,
as a
but
general
rule,
probably not the best idea.
right?
I have heard
flirt to
stories
convert.
of it working out.
Right. That's why I say this is
But,
probably Aaron's opinion. But as a general rule, yeah, it could be a great like, hey, like we should probably not
Can
do
you
the whole
define
missionary
missionary
dating. Missionary dating is like, man, I'm saved. Old girl ain't, but old girl's cute and
Or old boy. Why's it got to be the old
because
girl?
I'm a boy. That's
Oh,
why
okay,
I'm using
okay.
the example from my scenario.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, I am old boy.
I might be, keep going. Keep going.
And so but I'm gonna pursue her. I'm gonna date her. I'm gonna get in a relationship with her. She doesn't know the Lord. She's not saved, but that's fine because I'm gonna evangelize to her and maybe we'll get her saved. And normally, what ends up
that's
happening?
different from even what I was thinking.
Okay,
that's
what's
crazy.
what's missionary
that's
dating
like
for you?
100% of the time, no.
What's missionary dating for you? Come on,
I
maybe
was
we need to
thinking,
define
like,
missionary
This
dating.
is someone that's like a friend. I kind of know their character already. Like on every other thing in their life, they feel like a good option, but they don't know Jesus. And
As
so,
a friend, you're thinking as a friend.
yeah,
Okay.
and so but this boundary is kind of like I definitely have feelings for them, and so almost this entering this like place of prayer. I'm gonna invite you to church, and it's like starting dating thing, but like
As evangelism.
yeah,
And
but
if I
like
can
with
get you
this
saved,
agenda
then-
of like you can't
Yeah.
date me unless you find Jesus, but I'm not trying to force Jesus. That sometimes is where I'm like.
Okay,
If
but
it
what
works
about?
out, God bless.
I was
But
gonna
that
say-
I just saw this cute girl and
But listen,
I don't even know her. and
listen. My grandparents, okay, got set up on a blind date, and the story that I've heard, which they can correct me if it's wrong, but is that they got there and my grandpa's guy friend, and then I had a guy friend with him, and my grandma had a girlfriend, and they were going, as friends. They were like, we're gonna go on this blind date. They get there. And the guy that my grandma was supposed to go with was shorter than her. And so she was like, can we switch? And her girlfriend was like, sure. And so lo and behold, my grandma meets
Sarah
Rick
Beth is
Weintraub,
here.
and I'm here.
Because
The
of the
reason I
switch.
say that is because when she met him, he was Jewish.
Ooh.
And I know a lot of the story. I don't know all of it, but I know that
Traditional Orthodox Jewish.
but I will say she did not I don't know if she really tried to evangelize, but he read the Old Testament next to the New Testament for I think it was 2 years.
Wow.
And at the end of that 2 years, he encountered
We need to have your grandpa on the
Jesus.
podcast.
We do need to have him on the podcast. My point is,
True.
some people will have a story that's a little different, but I agree with you that entering into that like place of prayer, or maybe I'll, I don't know, try to evangelize so that we can be together. The motive is actually kind of selfish.
Yeah.
It could be. You know what I mean? But
We had a dating help episode a few episodes back with Lindy and Chase Kofer, and Lindy talks about how so many of us can view dating as in, God, I need a spouse who is going to complement my calling. That's how we can view it. So she tells the story of how when she was looking to date, she was like, God, I need
Worship
a producer,
leader.
I need a worship leader, I need a musician. Why? Because all of those things complement my calling. Yet Chase was none of those things. And she had to reframe her mind of, I'm actually called to lay down my life for him, not have him complement my calling. Wow. So I think that's just worth saying and stating. But I think back to, I don't want to rabbit trail too far
I
down
know. I'm
missionary
like,
dating.
are we talking about unequally yoked dating or ministry?
Let's start
we
with
could probably talk about both.
both. Let's start with
Okay.
dating. How
Okay.
about that one? But I love this verse because it says being unequally yoked with unbelievers, because Jesus is going to use the analogy of being yoked. And he's going to say, come and learn from me. I'm gentle, I'm lowly. You have it, read it. Yeah.
Well, I was just
So good.
thinking, where we're called to be yoked is to him. And so it says, come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you
Wow.
and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And a yoke itself is like the thing that holds two ox together.
Right.
That
Wow.
lays over their necks.
Yes.
And so Jesus is
It's
saying...
the harness God puts you in.
Yeah, and it's also like this is in reference to something that's going to be hard. This is work. You don't ever use a yoke when it's not work.
Yeah.
But he's saying work with me is easy and it's light because like you're yoked to me and I'm
going to do the heavy
God.
lifting.
Yeah, like what? So if you yoke your life to me, you're going to experience a light burden. You're going to experience an easy yoke while doing all these things that seem otherwise would be difficult. I think in the dating relationship, you can think of it the same way. Like, who you yoke your life to matters because you're gonna do life. Like, life has challenges, it has awesome moments, it has really hard moments, and who you're yoked to and how they're able to carry that yoke is going to determine everything and how difficult it is.
And I think also, if correct me if I'm wrong, but when one oxen weighs less than the other oxen physically, it turns them a different direction.
Yeah.
But if they were both weighing the same while pulling on this harness, they actually go in one clear direction, which is straight. Mm-hmm. And I just even think to what you're saying, it shows that when you're going the same direction, equally yoked, you have a target. You have the same focus, the same mission, and there's something that you guys are like going after together. Yeah. And I think about that as well.
I think the term unequally yoked, like based on what we're saying here, I think this could be a good baseline. Is the only way you can be unequally yoked is if one of you is not yoked to Jesus. Like if you're both yoked to Jesus, I would say, okay, you don't have to have the fear of being unequally yoked. That was the fear I had so long, even before meeting you, sir. But like, I don't want to find someone I'm not. But if you're both, I needed to renew my mind to, no. We're both being led by Jesus. We're both yoked to Jesus. It'll still be work. I love what you're saying, but we're yoked to Him, and in that you find like, okay, we are equally yoked. Why? Because we're equally yoked to Him. But I think now that you are equally yoked, like you're starting to date, you're starting to be in a relationship, you're starting to say, okay, we're going to build our life together, we're all these things. Well, now you're in the category of choice.
Right.
Like, I'm going to choose you over my calling. I'm going to choose you over my ministry. I'm going to choose you over good opportunities. I'm going to choose you over, like, I think of the amount of times I've had to lay down opportunities to choose my marriage to you, Sir Beth. Like, the amount of times I don't always do it well, don't always do it right, but I know I've done it a lot to where it's like, I want to do this thing, but this thing, if I do that, is going to cause unrest in our home. It's going to cause tension between us. It's going to disrupt our pace of life that we're finding so hard to build.
Video games?
No, I'm not talking about
Whoa.
That's crazy you say that, because I don't even have a video game system.
But in my mind, I felt like that's what you were referring to at the beginning of our marriage.
I was not. I was referring to actually like ministry opportunities, or because I could be such a go-getter.
Yes.
I'm like, go. Yes. It's the call of God. Like, oh, we got to burn. We got to be on fire. And you're like, I'm trying to tend to the flame of our home.
Wow.
And so for me, I've had to lay down good opportunities that seem to be from the Lord.
Wow.
For the better thing that is you. Like, we could talk about the better thing that is Him, but there's also he who finds a wife finds a good thing. Now, if I sometimes burning in the name of saying yes to all these ministry opportunities, if it's creating strife in our home, then the priorities are off. And I've actually had at times to say no to something I really want to say yes to, or I really want to say yes to together for the sake of, man,
our kids,
and really our marriage.
Yeah.
And, maybe in the early days it was video games, which is why I sold my Xbox and I sold my PlayStation.
Hey, you can play video games if you want.
I kind of want to say something about that.
Tell me.
Well, I have one quick one that I feel like is helpful. 1 Corinthians 7:14. I looked it up. Because just to address the fear around being unequally yoked to a partner, there should not be fear, because it's like what you said about choice. Like, when you're choosing, there's an aspect of like, I could choose someone in faith who I believe, and I'm taking on this advice, like, don't yoke yourself to an unbeliever, don't do that. But Paul in 1 Corinthians 7 is talking about people who get saved and their spouse is not saved yet. And so he says, don't divorce them, because the sanctified spouse sanctifies the unsanctified one.
Yes.
And so it would be weakening the gospel to say, if you're done if you marry an unbeliever, like, that's just your life's gonna suck. Absolutely not.
Right,
That's
totally.
like, that diminishes the power of the blood and the gospel to a degree that's like not right. That's not what we're talking about here. If you did marry someone who you're unequally yoked with, if you're 3 years, 5 years, 10 years into that, this is not
You're a hero.
us telling you sucks.
No.
Yeah, you just ruined your life. Absolutely not. Like, Jesus would say something different, and your marriage is still beautiful and holy. So, outside of that, I would love to talk about this because I heard you mention a lot in your question, like ministry and your calling and that kind of stuff. I'm 7 months into being married, so I'm fresh. You guys are.
That's 8 years.
That's crazy.
8 years in December, baby.
So 7
Wow.
months, 7 years. It's different. So I just want to say that because I'm talking as like a novice, as a beginner in this.
Hey, we're right there with you.
Yeah, we do feel that way.
We're still
Do we need
newlyweds.
to call a third couple?
That's right. Yeah.
17 years.
Yeah.
But so my thought about video games and ministry opportunities. To me, they're almost in the same category because of the level of importance of your family and your marriage that Scripture's so clear about. All throughout and in our lives, like the level of importance of your family and your marriage, to pretend that a ministry opportunity that I'm preaching or even my job comes relatively close to the importance of fulfilling your duty and responsibility in your marriage and family is wrong. It's much closer to me than video games on a priority level. And I think we miss that. I think we miss the importance of marriage and family. And it's on multiple levels. I think of Billy Graham. I've been thinking of Billy Graham since this conversation started because he represents basically the way that ministry changed in a generation. He was there for like TV and how like basically things went global, and he was the big top dog. And so like under his name is like millions have been saved and crusades and global things, and he's dying. And he says, I should have spent more time with my family.
Wow.
And I should have spent more time alone with God. Yeah. On his deathbed, that's what he says. We should be listening to what he's saying.
Yes.
And as a beginner, I'm going to speak to just some of my thoughts about why and how it hits on multiple levels. I think in our generation, there's been a worshiping of the calling. There's been a worshiping of the altar, the microphone. That's where things get done. That's where the world changes. And the truth is that history teaches us that that's not necessarily true. Wow. Even if you study the statistics of all those crusades, if you do the math, it's like the world has been saved like 10 times over. Wow. Doing the math of all those evangelists, like this many people got saved. It's like 30 billion people got saved. Yet we don't see the fruit of that in the world. I'm not saying there was no fruit, but there's something about a family that's God ordained from the beginning. It's how God builds his kingdom. From the very beginning, he doesn't call someone to a ministry. He calls someone's family and gives them a way of living, gives them a way to talk to each other, shows them how to relate to God. And he births literally his introduction of God to humanity is through a family. Wow. Right? So that's how God has built, and it's how God still builds. And I think we all in this room have experienced what it's like when people are doing ministry and it doesn't have a core DNA of family.
Yes.
And it's out of order. It's how we get to this place where like we're venerating these men whose families are destroyed behind the scenes. And that destroys the reputation of the church. Because people look at it and go, oh, he was preaching and he's famous, but his life sucks.
Yes.
And that's not the gospel. It's contradictory. And I'm not here to like shade people who are struggling. My heart is broken over those situations. But it needs to be said that family is the most important thing. Next to your commitment to the Lord, family is next, and there's nothing even close that touches that. So when you talk about saying no to ministry opportunities, or you saying like they got married and their ability to commit to certain callings changed, the calling of being the priest of your house as a husband or being like the mother of a home is so far more important, I think, to God than am I going to preach? Am I going to sing? And those things are awesome. God gave us those gifts.
They're just obedience.
Yes.
That's what I found is it used to be like, oh, I want to be asked to do this, or I want it. And now.
Yeah, then you get a family.
Then you have a family, or you get married and have a family. And it's out of obedience. Like every time I get an invitation, I'm like, Lord, I'm still fleshing that out. But I'm like, Lord, yes or no? Or do you want me to pick? Like, I don't know. But all the moments leading worship or speaking or whatever he's asked me to do, if I don't have oil and intimacy flowing in my home with my
Wow.
children and my husband, like, then it's not there. And every moment, like yesterday, I had a moment with my children where we were in our playroom and we were just worshiping. And that doesn't happen every day, but there was this moment where it was nap time, okay? Moms, you hear me say it is nap time. It is 1:30 p.m. I'm done. And the Lord's like, will you just linger a little longer? Like, can they go to bed at 2 or not? They didn't even nap yesterday. That's what happened because we got just overwhelmed by the presence of God. And those are the moments I carry with me when I travel. Those are the moments that when I'm leading in a room of however many people, I'm thinking about, oh, I was on the ground in the playroom with my kids, watching them worship, crying, changing a diaper, whatever. Those are the moments in this season of my life right now that there's substance when I go somewhere. If that makes sense.
Totally.
It's like in that
it's
moment.
your overflow. It's like
Yeah.
your first thing is your family, is your kids, is your household.
And if I don't have that, then not only will going somewhere and speaking or leading worship feel like a burden, or I'll act like a victim to it.
Right?
I will literally become a victim. But it's because I haven't taken the time to cultivate
Because it's out of order.
oil and intimacy
Yeah.
in my home.
And how cruel of a father would God be to not honor the correct order of things and to show you a version of life where ministry is more important than your family, where he's just inviting you into this correct order and priority that you were designed for, which is my family is first. This is how I was made to priest over my home and do this. And then when I go out, it's like my overflow. Now I get to enjoy this because it's simply an overflow. And when I get to do it, it's beautiful. It's partnership.
Yes.
But the other way around, where your family is suffering and you're going out and it's like that crushes you inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we're going into like what it would look like to be unequally yoked with in the ministry context.
I have a follow-up question just real
go,
quick.
Marcus.
This is a little detour, just a little
Love
bit.
it.
Yeah, we are.
I then think about Paul, who wasn't married, or some say, I don't know, there's some other things about it, but he wasn't married. And I think about all that he did with Jesus because he wasn't married. So I think about it that aspect as well. Like, is there like a tension point of all the things that you can be doing for God out of a really pure heart, where you're like walking this lane, like Paul did so much. Like there's so much written from Paul, and it's like, could he have done the same amount if he was married?
Number one, I'm pretty sure I've heard this.
I told you he asked good questions.
You know what
He
I'm
asked
saying?
great questions, yeah.
Because now I'm in a tension of like, man, if I get married, now you're telling me that like all the things that God has placed in my heart, now someone else comes with it, which I would love. But then I go, look at all this other stuff that I just could have done single. And I just think about that, and you give me like a tension in my heart that I'm like,
It's a good I think it's a great tension to walk into. My first thoughts are, why does doing more for God feel like the correct thing? Because that's a hierarchy of values.
Yeah.
You're placing the highest value
more,
on the successful life is do the most for God. And have the most written, have the craziest stories, go to the most countries. And so that while that was Paul's calling, and to me, it's more evidence of how Jesus takes ashes and turns it into beauty. Because there is a lot of scholars because people have this idea that like tons of the disciples of Jesus were not married because their wives don't get mentioned. But culturally and historically, it's just really probably not accurate because most Jewish men were married.
Yeah.
The thought about Paul is that his wife died.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so to me, I'm thinking of my mom. My mom is a brilliant counselor. She's incredible. And there's a lot of ways her life would have looked different if my dad didn't pass away. That's not me saying, well, look at all the awesome things my mom did because she was single. It's more so, look at how Jesus takes ashes and turns it into beauty. And now we do see these stories. Wow. There's truth to the fact that Paul didn't have that responsibility of caring for his wife in those years of him doing ministry. So he was able to be shipwrecked and not be thinking about his family. You know what I mean? So there are those crazy things. But I think there's a hierarchy of values there where I'm thinking that I wonder why for you or I think it's for so many. why it's like doing the most for God seems like that's success.
When and if you get married, that will all die.
Wow.
There will be a death.
Yeah, I think, a lot of times we talk about the refiner's fire.
Yeah.
And the refiner's fire for me has been allowing the Lord to renew my mind to see what he's birthing here at home is far weightier than what he's using me to do externally. I say what he's using me to do externally is because he could use anyone. I think the story of Reinhard Bonnke, when Reinhard was like telling the Lord, why me? Why'd you use me? Hundreds of thousands, crusades, all these. And the Lord said to him, I didn't.
You were just the first one that said yes.
You were the first one that said yes. And what does that say to me? It goes, oh, God, you don't need me.
Wow.
You're sovereign.
I'm not that important.
The plan of redemption will happen on the earth if I'm involved or not.
But it's a good tension because God has also chosen partnership intentionally and invites us into partnership. And so to Marcus, to the other side of that question, I don't think the answer to this is, well, it's all grace and we don't have to strive and I just don't have to do anything. Like, no, there's a very real reality of God has called you to things. Yeah. What are those things and how do I prioritize them is where we need the daily leadership of the Holy Spirit of how to balance those things out. Where is the priority of those things?
Which is a great response because, like, even in this season, I think there's like a fear maybe lingering of like, man, if I do step into marriage, all the things that like God has shown me, like calling wise, vision wise, or whatever, like out of a pure place, I go, man, does that have to die? Like, does all that you've shown me like have to die? Because now I'm stepping into another season that requires like more sacrifice, and I'm like, attention's divided, my time is given, and now it's like, but Lord, like out of that, all of that was like pure, like I really feel, but now it's like a whole nother thing. And what your response was it just made me think, because I think about Billy Graham, but I also think about there were two mothers that were praying for Billy Graham that never were mentioned.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. And they just lived a quiet life. They lived a quiet life.
I want to live that quiet life.
And nobody will ever know their name. But they were a prayer for Billy Graham to step into what he did. And I just think about those parents, just praying parents that lived a quiet life that still have the same impact as Billy Graham in eternity.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like it's the how we take these things and bring them into kind of an earthly hierarchy of values. And I'm not saying that Paul's stories aren't awesome. I just think if Paul was sitting here, he would do Philippians 3 towards all the things that you're talking about. And he's like, it's rubbish compared to knowing him.
It's true.
Yes. It is all rubbish.
So when you can take that perspective towards your marriage, I think it makes choices easier. I also think of just the impact of what I've seen in my personal life, even ways it's touched my family, where people have had huge callings, and later on down the road, things they couldn't have known is like, my kids have trauma because my flight got canceled or delayed. And I told this person I would pick them up at the school bus stop, and I wasn't there. And those are the things that like people don't talk about from the pulpit. But if you, like me and Aaron have talked about that, for a kid, that 10 minutes, that 15 minutes is so important. And you find Jesus saying those things too, like let your yes be yes, let your no be no, show up, be committed. And so when you talk about divided attentions, divided attention to me, even the framework of that is telling me there needs to be a kind of a resetting of priorities and values and goals.
It also tells me you're about to probably meet someone. Because you're like,
because I'm not looking.
Then
I'm not looking. Okay, Aaron's going to say something.
Looking, look at Aaron. But what I'm saying is like, there's so many people that are just like, they're trying to fill a gaping wound
which is the other side.
With marriage, but you're not doing that.
No.
You're like, oh, this is a sacrifice. And I feel like the Lord's like, yep, Ben, here it is.
The more I have matured in the things of God, this has been true of my life. This has been true of my life. The more I have matured in the things of God, the more it's required of me to lay down, not the less.
Wow.
The more, this is Jesus talks about, if you want to be faithful over much, you got to be faithful over little. Why? Because if you can't learn down to lay down in little, you're definitely not going to lay down in much. But if you can learn down to lay down in little, the more you lay down, you're like, I've lived a life of laying down. What's another thing to lay down? And so I think of that in the sense of, first it was, I won't say yes to this opportunity because I won't tend to my marriage. Then it was, oh, I can't say yes to that lifestyle because now I've got kids. Or now, you know what I'm saying? Like there's just...
Can't play video games. It started with the video games.
Well,
I was never a
too.
big gamer, so I don't know.
No.
Y'all coming at me for video games.
Well,
but I'm
Sorry.
I have one thing to say. I think, too, it's one of the reasons why we travel often with our kids who are 4 and under is that what you were saying, Rafi, ministry is supposed to be the picture of a family. Wow. I'm not saying you have to take your kids on every trip. We're going on a trip in August where we're taking 1 and leaving 2. You follow the Lord. But the times that we have sacrificed a 17-hour plane ride, jet lag, whatever, the way that the Lord shows up in our family, I never forget the grace that falls. And I'm not saying you can't do ministry single. You totally can. It's all about seasons of life. But I truly believe that when the family is whole and healthy and first or second under your relationship with the Lord on the priority list, everything else will just flow from that.
And the nucleus of family is not children.
It's
the nucleus of the family is the marriage.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Correct.
Yeah.
Aaron says that to me all the time. I'm
there's
like,
a
I needed
high-
to hear that.
There's like a priority level even between. I'm not
Wow.
there yet,
Right.
but I think I've heard you talk about
That's
how
good.
Sarah Beth is number one.
She's
Yeah.
number
And
one.
then
I mean,
kids.
it's
Yeah.
literally...
Which is
what
very hard when you have tiny babies because they physically will not survive if you don't tend to them first sometimes.
Yeah,
But
but this is
it's-
the letter to the church in Ephesus. Like the Lord says, I know your works. I know you're patient. I know you're full of faith. I know that you've tried false prophets and you found them liars. All these great things. And then he goes, but I have this against you. You've forgotten your first love. And when was it Rosie that was born?
I don't know.
I think Rosie,
One of
one of our kids was born. I think it was Rosie, our first. I was like, man, for 6 months, I'm going to be the best dad I can be. I'm going to help Sarah Beth where I can help her. I'm going to hold the baby. I'm going to change the diaper. I'm going to walk her to the park. I'm going to take her in the stroller. I'm going to do all these things. And about 6 months in, we just started missing each other. We were being short with one another, and I was like,
and we
what is
only had
going
one
on?
kid. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, we only had one. And but I remember thinking in that moment, like, what is going on? I had put all my time and energy into being a good dad, that I had stopped putting my time and energy into being a good husband. And it took me maybe years to course correct. It took me, 6 months of having an off priority. It took me a year to 2 years to course correct and go, no. My first love is Sarah Beth. Without my love towards Sarah Beth, we have no kids. Mm-hmm. And to renew my mind to the nucleus of our family is our marriage. Mm-hmm. Therefore, on date night, when our 4-year-old is crying, saying, Daddy, please don't go. Please stay home. Please watch a show with me.
You promised.
You promised. You said all these things. You didn't pay attention to me all day. When I've taken her to the park, I got her ice cream, played Barbies with her, jumped on the trampoline, swam in the pool, yet she's telling me, you spend no time with me, of going, I'm not feeling bad for leaving you. I'm taking your mom on a date because this is the nucleus of our family.
Yeah, it's modeling that for her.
Mm-hmm.
Which didn't limit you in ministry, but just propelled you even more.
It actually, here's the kicker, it actually gave our ministry authority.
That's, yeah. There
The
you go.
authority I've seen God put on our family has come from us prioritizing our family, not prioritizing the call of God. Because the truth is, the call of God is our family. The call of God is our marriage. The call of God is our kids. The call of God is tending to the faithfulness of where we've buried our life. And the fruit of that is the invitations. The fruit of that is
And then
the
you have the
ministry.
freedom to say yes
The fruit
or
of
no.
that is all of these things to where
Yeah.
sometimes we think, oh, no, that's the momentum. Oh, no, that's God. Oh, no, that's his, like, that is the fruit of us being faithful to opening our life to one another, confessing
a
sin
question.
when we
Yeah,
need to confess sin.
For it.
Because you've talked to me about this, but marriage, would you say there was less favor on your ministry before or after marriage, or more favor on your ministry? Like what happened?
my
What was the
gosh.
effect of marriage on your ministry?
That's a very specific question because not everyone is called to do ministry together like we are.
Yeah, I was about to say
But-
that.
But yes.
The answer to your question is yes, but I'm
Well,
hesitating
wait,
to
no,
give.
Sorry, I think technically the way I asked it was the effect. What was the effect on your ministry of getting married?
I
Like in hindsight, if you could say like it had this effect on my ministry.
Well, I would say I'm saying a lot of the same things now that I said when I was a single youth pastor, and no one was listening to me then. And now some of the things we're sharing on the podcast, we share in sermons when we travel and preach. A lot of the things I'm saying today, I was saying 10 years ago yet today I find not always everyone, but more people are definitely listening than when I was a single youth pastor.
There's a stamp of like authority.
Yeah,
but
like,
it
well, the
only
point I'm
comes
trying to
through
make-
the crushing.
The point I'm trying to
It
make...
only comes through the oil of the family.
I
like,
think then I was saying things that seemed to be good ideas. Now I'm saying things that are the same things I was saying that I've been tested and walked through.
that's it.
There's weight behind
Which,
it.
you know,
yeah.
sometimes puts the fear of the Lord in you of like, oh gosh, what's the next 10 years going to look like? What's the next crushing? What's the next?
Yeah.
But
If I write another song, I might have to live that thing.
But something tells me that you would not trade any of it, obviously.
no.
Actually, we would trade the calling. Like you.
For sure.
Right.
Like I said, it's usually just
I want to ask
obedience.
you, follow just real quick on that question is, not everyone here is in ministry. Like people listening, they're probably not in ministry. They're probably working 9 to 5. Some people are business owners. There's a variety of people that may have a certain calling that when they were single, like I want to ask a follow-up to what you're saying. Did you feel like when you were single, all the things that God put in your heart, calling-wise, vision-wise, dream-wise, still got fulfilled after you got married? And do you feel more satisfied even now? Or do you even feel more fulfilled, like doing all the things that maybe God shared with you when you were single compared to now married?
Yeah, I think you said it, that so many people can live on we can view ministry, the idolatry of ministry. Because there's a level of you step on the stage, you preach an awesome message, you release a great podcast. There's a level of the praise of man will always come. You can't avoid it. You can't run from it.
Yeah.
You can't just remove the praise of man from your life. It will always come. And the praise of man is awesome. I'm not going to tell you it doesn't feel good. It doesn't taste good. It doesn't. When you get the praise of man, there's something in you that you go, oh. But it's like a synthetic drug that it only lasts for so long. It wears off, and then you're looking for more.
Wow.
And
Proverbs actually says it tests you.
yeah, it tests you.
The furnace is
and
for
I would say
gold.
before
Man
marriage,
is tested by his praise.
before marriage, I had never fully tasted dying to myself. That's the reality
Wow.
of it is. Marriage has this way of killing
agreed.
you. The first one to the cross wins. That's the
Me
best
laughing
marriage
and
advice
crying
I've
at the
ever
same
got.
time.
Yeah. And then Marcus, you think I've died.
No.
Praise God, resurrect me. And then there's a pregnant belly.
That's crazy.
And kids come, and you realize I've barely scratched the surface to dying. And then you're like, okay, I think I figured
We've
it
got
out.
one.
I've died, and then baby number 2 comes. And then that's why I say you keep dying. But here's the beauty of it. The more you die, I'm kind of laughing, kind of being cheeky, but the more you die, the more you realize all the things I'm dying to, I just died to the synthetic counterfeit.
Wow.
I just died to something where you're like, man, the praise of man only gets you so far, and then it becomes like a drug. They say marijuana is like a gateway drug. And you take marijuana, you do marijuana, and then you're like, oh, I want more. All of a sudden you're addicted. And you're doing marijuana. But then there comes a day where you're like,
That's not enough.
it's just not doing it like it was. And then what do you move on to? You move on to another drug, and then you move on to another drug, and then you move on. And then all of a sudden you have 2 decades in prison. You have all these offenses against you.
Oh my gosh.
Rehab's not helping, and you're like, how did I get here? Well, the marijuana just wasn't doing it.
Wow.
And you went from synthetic to synthetic to synthetic to synthetic. Unfortunately, the praise of man is the secret drug within ministry that all of a sudden people it's just not doing it for them. So now I first I was doing this. Well, now I got to do this opportunity, and now I got to do this podcast. Now I got to release this book. Now I got to put out this thing, and I got to put content, and you're stuck in this whirlpool of synthetic counterfeit because you never got in the secret place and said, Father, what do you have to say about what I'm doing? And then here's the thing. He doesn't even talk about what you're doing. He
about
talks
who you
about your
are,
marriage.
or marriage,
He
yeah.
just
talks
pokes
about
your heart
kids.
and you go,
He talks about, the other
I love
day.
you, like for 40 times first, he just say, I love you, and
Yeah.
then he talks.
And you're like, but I want to talk about this and the next vision and the next year and the next thing. And God's like,
he doesn't want to talk about that.
yeah. He's like,
He could do everything you are thinking of doing literally by snapping his fingers.
Wow.
Like, this is the God who created the heavens and the earth. So when we get alone with him, that's what hits you is like, oh my gosh, I've been thinking you needed me. And that was just a literal fabrication of my mind. You want to do things with me, but as a father towards his son, he's just thinking so different. He's not thinking, how do we get these goals accomplished? He's thinking, how do I produce the image of my son in Aaron? How do I grow Aaron into the man he's meant to be? So it's like numbers, nations, this kind of that. I think also everything you just said, which by the way was stunning, I think to Marcus's question applies to someone who's working, because it's that same drug in any workplace.
Wow.
It's there. It's there for you.
Success,
I could
the
do
ladder.
this, and it would be like really super impressive and that feels good when I get the promotion, when I do this. All this extra, they're doing this late night meeting, and like if I show up, I'm gonna get good. I'll get a pat on the back with and it's even the culture of the workplace will try to project that onto you. If you show up extra, then that's how you get ahead. Wow. And so everything you're saying is just like, whoa, I actually, it's so good for my soul to remember that God does not need me.
But he wants me.
But he wants me
And the
so
scary
bad.
truth is that I could live off of the high of public ministry or group worship nights or planting a prayer house or traveling. I'm giving different examples. I could live off of the high because that does feel good. There is something to the corporate gathering and an anointing that only comes in the corporate gathering. Yeah. But if I only live off of that, it's a slow fade, or maybe a fast one, but a slow.
Depending on what happens,
you become dependent on
yeah.
it, like a synthetic drug, like you're saying, Aaron. And the scary truth is, you can live that way. But when when all of a sudden you get alone, or the day of trouble comes, and you're squeezed, and you see what's in you. If you're living off of that synthetic high of the corporate gathering or the calling or the ministry or the whatever, you realize, oh my goodness, I have no oil.
No oil.
Wow.
And you can't find oil in corporate.
Yeah.
You can't find oil in fulfilling the call of God on your life. You find it in the secret place with the Father.
I love where this conversation is going. I think for the sake of
we need to wrap it up.
the listener. No, what I was going to say is this is going to be a part one of a 2-part episode. And so we're going to leave you on a cliffhanger, and we're going to finish up this conversation next week. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.